wasn't, no.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us and taking some time out of your busy schedule. I'm hoping that it's not just because you want to rest your weary legs. But without further ado, I'm Andrew McClelland, a consultant to IMRG and also an external data protection officer.
I'm Deanne Evans. I'm the Managing Director for EMEA at Shopify.
And I'm Payman. I'm the CTO at Velvet.
We're going to start with you. I'm sorry.
Sure. I knew that.
What is Mint Velvet?
That's a very good question. I had that prepared. Hopefully some of you guys have heard of them. I had it about 2.5 years ago. And it is a very, if you're an entrepreneur, it is a very good story to have it told to you. About, I think in 2009, 3 ladies basically get laid off from, or they end their career with a big corporation. And they're sitting around having a cup of mint tea. And they decided of opening their own fashion business where they saw a gap in the market for good, they call it a relaxed luxury in terms of the feel of it. They started it, so 2009, just about 12 years ago, and then it's taken off from there. Has had incredible growth and has had a really strong, good reaction from the market town especially. So right now we're about just shy of 60 stores, our own stores, and then over 100 concessions operating globally through Shopify, of course. So that's Mint Velvet.
And how did that scalability work? Because if it's a fairly young brand, it's gone from here to there really quickly. What's enabled that process?
Honestly, I think it comes down to the approach of the founders. Personally, I think it's the CEO's approach. Her name is Liz. And the way she approaches the customer, the product, and decision making. We got a good bunch of directors at Mint Velvet, but I think with her leadership, you're able to pose a challenge, really brainstorm ideas, and then go for it. So some stuff that in my previous job would take months to make a decision on a platform, on an idea, we execute in a couple of weeks, genuinely, and that's where having the right platform really enables you to do that, right? So if you can integrate it really well, really easily, and try it out, test it, and then scale it, that's what we've done, especially in the past 2 years.
And how's that scalability worked with in the multi-channel environment? Because if it's digital, you've got one outlet. You're already talking about lots of physical outlets. You're talking about concessions, partnerships. How can you scale that at the speed that you've done that?
So look, I'll take you to 2 years ago where the brand, 2.5 years ago, the brand saw really good growth. And then it was at a point where you go, actually, I need to invest in the right infrastructure, the right way to be able to scale it. So at the time, we broke down our strategy at a very high level in what can we do for our customers, what can we do for our employees, and what can we do at a foundational level. For our customers, for example, we went straight up with a new platform, which is Shopify, which really a good decision now that we think about it, because we're able to really hit Omni very nicely with our POS system. So we also rolled out a new system called Situ, which integrates really well with Shopify, gives you the single view of customer, single view of product, and location, everything else. With that, we're able to, if we want to open any stores, aside from the actual stores and the location, everything else, you're able to roll out new stores in a matter of even minutes. So if the site is there, you can bring up a store in minutes.
So the technology is enabling you
100%.
to grow in that way.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you've got the physical constraints of finding new shop units, etc. But the underlying technology itself gives you that scalability.
Correct. The big thing is technology, but I always say it to Deanne as well. Genuinely, it's the right partners as well. So you need to have the right tech, right people. But what we've seen is through Shopify asking for their experts. I don't know. You've got people like Patchwork, like really well-established partners that we have, we're able to roll out new stuff quite effectively. So that's what we've learned. I would really emphasize the partners equally as strongly as the tech.
So rolling back from the multi-channel, the omni-channel view, talk about digital.
Yep.
How has the digital journey evolved for you as a brand? Where have you come from and where are you going?
We were on it was end-of-life platform. So there was nothing we could do with it. So there was an assessment, Shopify was selected, and genuinely, we now have a very lean dev team ourselves. We partner with Astound to do our Shopify development to augment it. But basically, we've taken Shopify, we've integrated it well into our ecosystem. So it's very modular. We've integrated it well, but we've then managed to, on a probably bi-weekly or fortnightly, do releases to enhance it, right? So we're looking at new pieces of tech that we could do either ourselves or through partnerships with, I don't know, even look at return portals or carrier management services, or even we integrated with digital asset management service. So I think having the foundation level that Shopify has enabled us to really augment the digital ecosystem really easily.
How do you stop chasing the most shiny new thing?
We don't.
If you can be that flexible and integrate so quickly, how do you make sure that you work out what's right for your business?
This is where I said Liz would come in, or the group of directors of the team. Genuinely, our approach is we're innovative, but we're not chasing the newest thing. Everything we've done, for example, if we're looking at a new, let's say, returns portal for our customer, the way we would approach it, we go, all right, we got a need for it. It works well on major brands that we have, for example. And we would reach out to Shopify, go, do you have any recommendations? And they go, actually, yeah, I don't know, Gymshark uses this, or go to these websites, like they all use these brands. So you got the reference as well. And then you can actually reach out to your colleagues as well through reference calls and just go, how does it work for you? What about that? What doesn't work well? And then you make the right decision.
And how do you think your role fits into that process? So you've got across, we were just talking about the number of merchants, you're getting some standardization across quite a lot of retail brands now that are on your platform. How do you then know to recommend the right things to Minted Velvet? How do you get that feedback loop into them so that actually they're choosing the right things?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you've talked about the ecosystem of partners, right? Like Mint Velvet works with Astound Commerce, so they're going to be a voice that helps you with that. We also have a lot of our brands are networked together. So Payman was speaking with the CTO of Allbirds a couple weeks ago, right? So we understand that our merchants are different, have different needs, but there are a lot of commonalities, and we have this network and ecosystem of partners, app integration, tech partners that we're able to connect in through to make sure that we're recommending or that we're putting them on a path to go to the right partner. And we have a lot of deep integrations across marketing, across things like shipping, ERPs, right? We have a suite of products across the ecosystem that are doing these integrations.
So we were talking the other day about the next shiny thing, and everyone's talking about AI and dropping AI into the conversation. Depending what does that mean to you as a business? What sort of things are you looking at now, and how do you structure your decision-making process? What's it got to do for you before you take the leap and start moving into?
Look, if I sat here and said we're looking at AI and it's going to revolutionize everything for us, I'd be lying, because it's not our core competency. What we're doing, we've discussed that at a senior level, but what we're doing is we're leveraging the capabilities that, for example, Shopify provides for content writing, for product description. That's through AI. Or if you look at outside of Shopify, but we've integrated it through Patchwork's our PLM, which is our product lifecycle management, basically takes, you create a product and, it ends up on your website. A lot of it is using AI. Or we've integrated our ESP, which is our email service provider, which, how you look at customer data or emails and everything else. A lot of it uses AI. But we've not built it. We're using some other partners' core competency to benefit us. And at the end of it, it does effectively two things. Either increases revenue, either through better conversion or more sales, or most of the time, efficiencies gained through your operational activities, right? So our carriers, for example, we use AI and set rules to dispatch certain packages with one provider versus another provider. That's AI, but at a very high level, right? It's not very complex. It's not like what ChatGPT uses, for example, right? So that's what we're doing.
So it's operational efficiencies that
Mostly.
you're looking for, and that's where you apply it.
Yeah.
What about where the brand meets the customer?
Yeah, that's through customer care mostly. A lot of it takes place behind the scene, right? So where customer sees it, mostly is through customer care, through whether or not you're using very intuitive, or I call it intuitive, but chat bots that route the calls through the right channels or answer you right away. Where it gets sophisticated, you're not exposed to it most of the time. For example, the fraud engine for Shopify, that's quite complex, but it's taken a lot away from us in terms of operational activities, because it does a bit, it's activities, and then goes, actually, this is low fraud, high fraud, and it will manage it for you. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if I could add to what Payman said, I think this, the operational, right, the efficiency, where can AI help drive efficiency across repetitive tasks?
Yeah.
Right, and then I love how you said, talking about really how it, how can it use it to increase revenue, or how can you use AI to drive more impact? And so at Shopify, we're weaving AI into our products and solutions, right? And we've just launched Shopify Magic, which is an AI-enabled suite of tools and products to be able to do things like you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And also that chatbot element is really important. We see, the majority of retailers, or we did a survey last year, 1 in 3 Shopify retailers are using AI or trying to use AI. And a lot of times it is in things like chatbots, right? How do you help increase conversion? How do you answer questions? How is your consumer engaging with your brand? And so it's, the reality is like AI is here, and it's going to be woven into kind of everything we do across the board in retail and commerce. So how can you adopt it in the right way for your business to help really drive where you need to go?
And I think some of the sample size of one, I know when I've encountered some of these chatbots that are supposed to be helping me, actually more often than not, they actually wind me up even more. How do you make sure that that you know at what point you back off and say, actually, no, this is the time when you need that human interaction?
We actually, I think, do this really well. The reason being is our customer really likes the human touch. So when we were implementing things around customer care, we looked at that quite closely, trying to make sure we don't put a general chatbot that drives the customer nuts. So if you want to talk to a human, you're able to talk to a human right away. And you talk to a human locally as well in the UK, just because we're quite passionate about providing the best customer service for that customer. So that's how we've approached it. The things that we've done, but we've learned from it as well, is our search engine, for example, uses a bit of AI, right? So it takes all the data that we have in terms of all the customers, what they've searched for, and takes that data and goes, actually, I think, Andrew, you've come in, you fit this group of customers. I'm going to display you what I think is suitable for you. In some instances, we found out that actually that needed a bit of tuning, right? So we looked at it and go, actually, our conversion has come down a little bit. Why is that? It's because the algorithm has gone a little bit wrong, so we had to fine tune it, which is normal, right? You kind of test it, learn it, and then you optimize it.
So at what point do you, a lot of these things, it's right at the beginning. If I'm a new customer, you're not going to know much about me. So actually my customer journey needs to be very different to someone that's coming back that you know lots about, and you can make those product recommendations. How do you use your technology to get me as a new customer into the brand and engage with the brand?
So that question is two parts in my brain, actually. You said you do not know anything about me. That is true. I don't know anything specific about you, but there is always a thing that I can assume about you, right? So I can assume you fit a certain criteria. Then I can target you better than I would just go, actually, I don't know this person at all. So we have that capability through our platform. The second part of it is making sure that the experience is suitable enough that you can explore by yourself and not feel like we're intruding in your privacy, right? So that takes a lot of thought behind it as well. But that's nothing to do with us as Mint Velvet. Our partners take care of that through their platform. So just because you want to manage that expectation. And then the last part of your question, actually, can you repeat it again so I can address it?
No,
You forgot it. Because I feel like there was a bit of it that I feel like I answered two parts, but
I think you're about there, to be
yeah.
fair. Going right back to the beginning of our conversation, you were talking about that global growth and the store footprint, or the global footprint for the brand. That leads me into internationalization.
Yeah.
And what that journey looked like for you.
So this is close to our heart with Deanne and her team and Shopify in general, and globally, who are here as well. So at Mint Velvet, we've been operating globally regardless, because we sell from the UK to Ireland and also US. But recently, we're making a bigger push for it, just because that's part of our strategy. What we've done is, through a good partnership with Globally, is how that takes place, if you guys are not familiar with it, is when you land on a website, they work with more than 1,000 retailers. So if, more likely or not, you have used them, or somebody in Ireland or US has used them. Basically, you come as a customer to our website. Once you land on the checkout, it actually is Globalie's technology. Looks, feels, and everything is Mint Velvet, but we have managed to use their tech to be able to scale that from a digital perspective. Having said that, with Shopify, we have managed to make the look and feel and the user experience quite seamless, because Globally is utilizing the backend infrastructure, the APIs, so the checkout APIs, which are basically the infrastructure that Shopify provides to make everything seamless for our customers. This lends itself to better conversion, better experience, and it feels quite seamless for the customer. So that has how we've approached international.
Yeah, and if I can add from a Shopify perspective, we're seeing 15% of our GMV is cross-border. So it's a significant amount of our customers' business, our merchants' business, and we're creating a lot of tools and ways to make it simple to go international, right? Translate and adapt, tools like that, Shopify Markets, to really help reduce the complexity. So, everything from the entrepreneur that's starting up all the way through to the enterprise, like Payman is talking about, leveraging checkout APIs and strategic partnerships. It's an important area of growth for all of our customers.
And actually, that touches on my next point around, we talk about internationalization, it's the big picture, it's the globe, but actually, that then follows into localization. So is that where we're talking about Globally and some of those technologies is, yes, I'm a US customer shopping from a UK brand. I don't care that it's a UK brand, I just like the product, but I want it sold to me in the way that I'm used to. How do you incorporate some of those local differences?
That was the biggest pain point for us. And honestly, localization, we spent, let's just say, a couple months trying to make the integration with Globally and Shopify as best as it can. Majority of it was trying to make sure our sizes are local to the customer, so UK size versus a US size, sounds quite simple, but when it comes to it, if your data has not been set up correctly, it becomes quite complex. But unfortunately, there is, I'm not trying to advertise Shopify, but I'm quite proud of it. But because there is a part of Shopify admin, there is an app almost called Shopify Flow, which enables you basically with minimal to no code, go, if it is this size, make it equivalent to this size. So instead of us spending months building, touching our ERP integration and so on, well, we did it through that. And then all the taxes, duties, currency, everything, someone like Globally takes care of it seamlessly, right? So that's how we've done it.
We were already talking about chatbots and AI and the platform. Is that then able to be scaled into those? Yes, you could scale it globally. You've got a global presence, but can you then provide that localization element to protect, to back up what Mint Velvet are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, that localization and that selling internationally is a huge theme for our customers. And so we're developing a lot of technology around that to make it easy because, to your point, localization is key. So it's not enough to just translate. And the US versus UK size, being American, living in the UK for 14 years, it still trips me up. So there are really important things that have to be taken into consideration when you're looking at selling internationally and going global, for sure.
Market conditions change. You're exposed. I say exposed. You have you're hedging your risk because you've got that global exposure. How agile do you feel to be able to change to changing market conditions? Sorry, I'm doing a multiple level question here. Changing market conditions, but also changing customer behaviors within those markets as well. How do you feel you're able to adapt to those?
Look, we've got, I think I hit on it a little bit at the beginning with the management team at Mint Velvet and being nimble. Every week, we're able to get together, look at the data, and then just go, actually, we've done this, it's worked, it hasn't worked, you got to pivot, you don't have to pivot, right? Or what can we do better on the website? What do we need to do from a product perspective? What do we need to do from a shop? So you got that core group from digital, product, retail, tech, sitting around the table, and then just going, we need to do something. How do we do it? You can make a decision, execute it quite quickly, because you've made the foundation level robust enough to do that. And then you meet next week and then, pivot a little bit. So we do that constantly.
So effectively, you're looking at tweaks to the system rather than major fundamental changes. You've got the technology in place,
changes.
Iterative changes.
Yeah, lots of small changes. Because we made big changes relatively a year and a half ago. Right? So we set the foundations a year and a half ago to be able to make small changes quickly now.
Yeah, and Payman, this is something that Mint Velvet is doing incredibly well, and that I think that other brands in the room can really need to think about. And there are areas like changes to your checkout, right? Shopify rolled out a one-page checkout this week, looking at things like you talked earlier about your new customer, right? How do you enable guest checkout, make sure that you're offering accelerated wallets? There's a lot of things that can be done that aren't, re-platforming your entire system. Right, but small steps in that journey and small innovations and tweaks that can really make a difference it's extremely important in the environment we're in.
Clock's ticking. Has anyone got any questions for Payman or Dion at all? No? We'll keep ploughing on. That's fine, no problem at all.
Oh, there's a question over there, apparently.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there's.
Behind the lectern, sorry.
Yes, hello. My name's Roy Vassell, founder of Great First National. The question being, you're all pretty much set for now, but are you prepared for introduction of CBDCs along the payment rails within the network for the next financial sort of era?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I didn't catch it either, yeah.
Okay, with the evolution of CBDCs, which is the next sort of payment rails, are you prepared in the infrastructure for your payment gateways for CBDC's arrival?
Okay, so the please correct me if I've got this wrong, but I think so. The payment data requirements are changing.
Yeah.
How adaptive is the system to those changes, and how that evolves? So you've had a whole bunch of stuff coming down through Payment Services Directive. That's made some changes. We've got new changes to different payment mechanisms, payment types, and then the standards that apply to those.
Yeah.
How quickly are those adapted, and when are those adapted?
Yeah. So, I mean, from a Shopify payments perspective, we're going to always make sure that we are adapting to all new regulations and that we're open and able to confirm with requirements. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Was there? Do you want to?
No, honestly, I think
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong at the end, but Shopify and ShopPay use Stripe as kind of the processor and gateway. So Stripe are one of the, just similar to Addy and everything else, they're quite robust, and they're one of the few parties that make the decisions around the regulations and help.
Yeah, that is correct. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you were aware that obviously Stripes and all the payment gateways will need to make that preparation, so at least your customers are able then to interact with the launch of CBDCs as opposed to the fiat payment gateways.
We're happy to talk after. And
Sure, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay. So coming back to the technology piece again. How are you using that to make sure that you've got that that common customer experience across, you call it omni-channel, across the website, across the store, mobile device? How are you using that to ensure that the customer knows what they're getting from Nimble, and when they come in, they know that's what they're going to experience?
Yeah, sure. If you walk into our store as Andrew or call customer care, whether you use the phone or website or go to a store, you will get the same experience in terms of platforms. If you are a current customer, we'll have access to your data because you want us to in terms of your purchases or what you prefer, the color, the fit, everything else. We make sure that it's cohesive. So if you call up customer care, I'll be like, oh, Andrew, it's you. I can see your local store is LinkedIn. And if you want, I can ship this to you. I already know your size. So we've made sure of that by integrating and using Shopify and our partner in terms of our CDP and our which is our customer data platform, to host all the data in one place.
And how are you enabling that, Dion, that cross-channel experience for his customers?
Yep. So for Mint Velvet specifically, we've got integrations with all the tools. We also have customers that are using Shopify's retail POS solution, using our B2B and wholesale solution, right? So this unified commerce, this view across all the different forms of commerce, is incredibly important to what we're doing and how we are developing the products, really the products for the future, right? Because the customer expects you to know them in every surface and every area that you are with them. And so that's one of the key areas that we're seeing our customers really focus on, is how do we break down these silos, right? And have that full view both of the customer across every commerce channel. Yeah.
Moving on to the commercial perspective, how are you controlling is probably the planning, the promotional campaign? We're rapidly coming up to peak. How are you planning that, and what impact does that have on what technology you've got available to enable you to deliver it?
So I can't speak to the specifics of it because it impacts commercials, but what we're doing is aligned with our strategy and what the market expects in terms of our customers. In terms of the market in general, I think everyone within retail could say that because of cost of living and everything else, you could see the trends is shifting a little bit. So with that, you have to pivot as well. With regards to technology choices and how we're spending on tech, that hasn't changed, right? So everything, if there is a valid business case for it, we're making the right decisions about it, right? So to trial it, test it, and implement it.
And do you notice a lot of difference in demand across the different regions that you're trading internationally?
Yes. I can't give specifics, but we've made a recent significant push for international markets, and it's been fruitful. It's been positive, and I can tell, talking to colleagues that we share Shopify in terms of platform, they're doing the opposite from the States side, right? So in Canada, States, they're looking at the European markets going, actually, what can we do? So I find it like, if you look at All Saints, they made a big international push into the US. It's been quite successful. I think a lot of people are looking at other markets to try to, increase their revenue.
Yeah, and in terms of peak season, we do a study every year, and our one for this year will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. But some of the themes that we saw last year were focused a lot around like conscious consumerism, also customers focused on still making large purchases, but being very considered about what they do. And staying loyal to their brands, staying loyal to their brands. In terms of preparation, obviously the Shopify platform is the backbone for all of our customers' peak season and BFCM activity, and we are constantly prepared. It's an exciting time to work at Shopify. We always have, there is a kind of a countdown and a globe that's going where you can go onto a website, you can see all the orders that are being processed around the world, what verticals are doing well. So it's an interesting thing to look at if you go on our website around the time frame. But from a day-to-day perspective, we host some of the largest flash sellers in the world. So Supreme is on the Shopify website, right? So for us, BFCM is almost another day, right? Because it's that type of volume we have going through the platform often.
So where do you think Velvet's going next?
In terms
more of the same, or is it?
Well, I think Mint Velvet, I think if you say more of the same, would be a fair statement, yes and no. What we've done really well is produce really good quality clothes and provide it to the right segment. I think with the help of tech a little bit, we're making that easier and more on time. So we're delivering quicker, providing the right sizes, making sure if you want to return, you're able to return it easier. If you want to exchange it, you're able to exchange it easier. So that's what we're doing. But the product, constantly when we do research, people are quite happy with it. And then I've worked fashion almost all my career. Our customers are we were detailing specifics, I can't share the numbers, but we're significantly above average in terms of our loyal customers, because once they buy, they like the product and they come back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's Payman, the customer loyalty numbers that you have, and the amount of work that you do to make sure that it's seamless for your customers, that they're engaged, that you're giving them what they need. I mean, it's incredible, and it's something that all brands should look at. Take a look at the Mint Velvet site, look at the catalogs, look how it looks. I mean, it's something that all brands should be striving for, because you have incredible customer loyalty.
Payman touched on returns.
Yeah.
Of course, fashion, it's always the big the big issue, returns. What are you guys doing to help Payman actually reduce the pain? More importantly, reduce the pain for their customers.
Yeah. So every customer has a different way to do returns, right? So we have ecosystems and technology partners that can help with that. And I think that from a technology perspective, a lot of it goes also back to that customer service point, right? So how do you help the customer engage? How do you make sure that it's easy for them to ask questions, understand what they're purchasing, and all of that? So there's a lot of points along the customer journey that can either make it so you avoid returns, right, or that you're able to then service them in the right way. In terms of who our merchants work with, everybody's different. It depends on what country they're in, what they need, how their infrastructure and technology is set up. So from a Shopify perspective, it's about making sure that that there's extensibility and the technology partners that are needed to do that.
From our perspective, I'll be more specific on this one. We're looking at, for example, return portals right now. This is what Deanne is saying in terms of having lots of partners. What we look at is this is our list of requirements in terms of what we want to achieve for our customers. From a tech perspective, it's quite easy, because when it comes down to it, and most partners have it now, is a native Shopify integration. Somebody calls it an app, somebody calls it a webhook. They've done the work for you. So instead of we're looking at it, I used to work at Topshop, for example. We looked at, I think it was Zigzag or something. We spent months trying to integrate it. We're now down to probably an hour. So that's what has facilitated Shopify is helping us actually.
And what sort of impact do you think that has? I mean, so that's the application of technology. What sort of impact do you think that's had on the customer journey and the customer feeling towards the brand?
Honestly, the numbers speak for themselves, right? Every time you put that we've put tech into the hands of customer, directly or indirectly, granted there have been mistakes, it's helped significantly. And that just shows through better conversion, or when you do surveys, customers actually go, we like this. We launched personal styling last week, 2 weeks ago. We had one transaction 400% on top of our average transaction with a customer who was lapsed as well. So our customers like it every time we put something in, generally, unless we lose their order or something.
Which then brings up the question: if you suddenly get that massive swing, how do you control demand to make sure that supply can stay up?
Look, that is a question I'm not qualified to answer, genuinely. That is somebody else's expertise. I can get you in touch with Laura, very switched on, but I can't answer that question.
I must be
Bringing customers in is somebody else's problem.
Well, if it helps, in the last session I've just done, speaking to a COO, one of the things she was talking about was actually the different elements of the business talking to each other and understanding what those pressure points are, so that if marketing wants to do a big push that's going to massively drive demand, hopefully massively drive demand, that the ops side can cope.
Yeah, but this is what is a little bit good but embarrassing for me personally anyways. The first year we were on Shopify, we were going into peak, and every time we do peak, and I've got colleagues here, you do a big preparation for peak. You just go, can my website handle the load? So we got good connections with Shopify. So what do? I reach out to Shopify CTO going, I'm going into sale. Can you handle it? And the guy comes back, goes, you are literally less than 1% of my load on Black Friday. Don't worry about it. So.
Well, you could take that two ways, couldn't you?
No. But because they're so big,
Yeah.
they don't mean it facetiously, but because they are able to handle, I think, billions, right? I wish we were putting billions through the platform at the moment, but you're handling billions at Black Friday. And because through previously I was used to doing, performance testing, peak prep, scaling up the infrastructure in terms of data centers and everything else. All of that is through Shopify now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've just got under 5 minutes left. So I think I'm going to ask each of you now just to summarize with what's next for Mint Velvet. Where do you think you're going next? What do you, and not necessarily just the brand, but how do you think the market's changing? How do you think you might adapt to that? And then the same question for you as well.
Do you want to go first or should I go first?
Peyton, you go first.
I'll go first.
Peyton,
Fine.
go first, yeah.
Look, personally, I think this peak will speak for itself. I think because of cost of living, people have to work harder for the demand to come through. From a customer engagement perspective, I think we're doing the right stuff from the Mint Velvet. From a product perspective, that just keeps improving. From a tech perspective, we've got a backlog that we can't even cope with. Our partners, I think Astounded should be here as well, that we work with them closely to continuously innovate, right? The biggest thing that we're going to make sure we have is not to provide additional capabilities for the next 3 months, but make sure the website we've got is faster and better looking, right? So if you go on our website in the next 3 weeks, it's going to have a new PDP with bigger images, better look and feel. So we're constantly innovating on that one. And then in the background, we're doing a whole bunch, which I can't share.
Be interested to see how you retain the balance between the bigger images and the call to action and the actual selling point.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting comparison.
We've done, we've got a lovely lady who's our UX. So before we went and implemented it, we did extensive, for our size, extensive research, and then shared it with Shopify to go, actually, we're going to implement this for PDP. What do you think? So we went through their user experience experts, and then it went through their well, you could call them performance experts. The dude was from Akamai, who, basically they're one of the biggest cloud providers, CDN providers that is in the market, who went, actually, if you're doing this, make sure you do this. I've looked at your code. Make sure you don't do that. So that's getting implemented. And then once we implement it, we'll make sure to keep a close eye on how it performs. And then we're partnering with Shopify in October to look at how the code is performing as well, to make sure that improves as well.
So just interjecting there, so basically CDN, it enables cached versions of your site to be delivered locally to global customers without having to wait for hours for it to download. So it's basically shortening the distance between your servers, your website, and where your customer is. Sorry. Just
No.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
Yeah. And from a Shopify perspective, look, we're continuing to innovate. Shopify spends nearly $1.5 billion, billion dollars on R&D every year, right? So it's an incredible investment that we're making in the technology, in the platform, and in our customers. And so you'll see every 6 months we release the Shopify edition, where we release our products that we've either just recently released that are coming up, and every edition so far we've had 100 product and solution updates. Right, so there's going to continue to be a lot of innovation. We're focused on things like checkout, right, because it's really important. It's that crucial last step of a prospect to a customer.
That dropped yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah, the one-page checkout dropped yesterday. Yeah, absolutely. Very much focused on, where do you reach your customers, right? How do you reach your customers? Consumers are spread across so many more surfaces and channels nowadays. So how do we make this easier for our merchants and for our customers to grow? So there's going to be continued innovation. We're going to continue to focus entrepreneur all the way up to enterprise. We launched our enterprise offering in January, and we were just listed as a leader in the Gartner Magic Digital Commerce Quadrant. Right, so there is a lot of innovation that's happening, and we're focusing on this full spectrum of customers. And we have great relationships with the likes of Mint Velvet and so many more in the UK and beyond.
Focus on customers seems like a really good place to stop our conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.